So let's start. Our topic is, okay, sorry. 2030 Vision Realization Office. لا يعلم الغيب إلا الله. What would be in 2030? Allahu A'lam. But what can we do in order to reach 2030 and be successful? This is something we're going to attempt to discuss together today. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Saadi Adra. I did my PhD in project and program management, and I won international awards. One is from PMI, and I do have several certifications by PMI, but as well I'm accredited by APMG on managing benefit and strategy implementation. And I do projects. I love projects. One thing about project management, and I face lots of discussions wherever I go in the world, is that many judge PMI based on the PIM book alone, or based on the PMP. The PMP alone is good. It's not enough. It does not have answers for all the giga projects, for the PMOs, for the vision realization offices. It's a good component, it's a core component, but not enough. And PMI has much, much more than just the PMP. But we need to do the extra effort of looking for that knowledge, fetching it, understanding, and also learning from others. So today, I'm going to speak about, first topic I want to speak about is integration. Integration. Today we're going to discuss around 12 different frameworks. Why 12 frameworks? Because no one size fits all. I believe we understood this very well from the morning session. And there is no prepackaged solution for anybody. So we will have to devise and discover what is best for us. But why reinvent the wheel when there are frameworks out there? One single framework does not give you the answer. But from a dozen frameworks altogether, we select what is best for us. It's not a copycat. You might go for a certain framework and take from it only one item based on what you need. So, why is the first topic important? Integration. How operations and projects achieve vision. We're going to focus on this in the first part, and the second part, we're going to focus more on delivery. Because we establish projects to achieve our vision. But project manager or program manager, once they deliver, they go away. The people inside the organization that we call operations, these are the ones who realize the benefits. If they are not there, no benefit will be realized. Which means we have to devise manners to work together in a better manner between project management and operations. Currently, wherever we go, we find silos, as if project management is the rival or enemy of operation and vice versa. And this is a wrong approach, a wrong perspective. So the starting point is to speak about a vision realization framework, including a top-down, then a bottom-up. Don't worry, this is only the index. I'm going to speak about each one in detail. Following, we are going to speak about the strategy implementation roadmap by the Strategy Implementation Institute, which focuses on realizing strategy not through projects, but through operations. Okay? And then we'll talk about the integrated lifecycle management framework, whereby we operate and exist together, where maybe we can have one process together between operations and projects and kill the silo thing that kills success. And then, of course, digital transformation is upon us, whether we address it or not. And this is vital. And the last component at this strategic level is, of course, to speak about change management, transformation management, because we all are undergoing change and transformation, and we need to address that properly. So I consider this the high-level part of the discussion, which is this side of the slide. But now, once we do these in a proper manner, it's not enough. There are components that will be missing. So which take us to 7 frameworks that will help us develop, design, our governance, delivery, process, and skills geared by value, starting with the benefit management model. Benefits management model. If you don't manage the benefits, they will not come. Okay? They won't come by themselves. You build an airport. If you don't have a good operation plan for the airport, it will not succeed. Okay? You build an application. If it's not easy, if it's not communicated properly, like tawakkalna, okay? Who can make a mistake using tawakkalna? If you try, you cannot. There is one way to use it, which is the right way, okay? If you don't think about these perspectives and do the best ideas in the world, it will not fly. So the management benefit model, then of course portfolio management, very vital, very important. This is how we link successful projects to realization of strategy. But it has to have everything we spoke about before to succeed. And under it, of course, program management and project management. But we should not forget about the skills and competencies. And ladies and gentlemen, today in the world we have an international standard called SOFIA, utilized by 200 organizations, countries in the world, and tens of thousands of organizations, which has one unified language of speaking about competencies and skills. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And then, of course, we need to develop our organization in an agile manner. And today I loved what Ricardo spoke about agility as a mindset. And a Giga project can have agility, okay? Even if they don't follow Scrum or whatever agile methods. And what are the structures for organizational excellence? And when we look at all of these, just to make sense, let's try to group them together. The grouping will come in a bit, because these 3 are together, and these 3 are together, and these 3 are together when you speak about it. So to start with the first part, usually, traditionally, we have a vision, mission, strategic objectives, then managing the portfolio of projects and management of operations, and under that, organizational resources. This is why they fight. Both need the same funding, the same quality resources, the same utilities, okay? Each one is important, and they start to fight over these resources. How do you solve this? Now, why do we need projects? They increase value production capability. Value production capability. Okay, you provide a new terminal. Now we can have several tens of thousands more flyers per day, commuters, whatever, okay? But the terminal by itself does not do that. The people produce the value. When you have the right people with the right skills, competencies, with the right standard operating procedure, with the right many things, then you produce the value. So we need both. These people, they give us muscles, and these people, they use the muscles. Now, you can get me a new Ferrari, but if I'm accustomed to driving a small Toyota, okay, I will either drive the Ferrari as a Toyota, or I will crash. So if when I give me a Ferrari, you need to give me a course with Schumacher or I don't know who. Okay, you need to tell me how do I do maintenance and operation for this piece of equipment. Because the normal garage next door does not understand what's inside the machine. For example, You need to do many things for me to be able to drive the Ferrari. So it takes two to tango. So instead of having this, what's the problem in this model or this framework, traditional one? The problem, it causes silos. It causes silos, no integration, competition over resources and funds. To me, I'm more important, and to me, I'm more important. You are both important. But the way we structured our organizations is based on silo, not on a continuum, not based on integration, not starting from the final value that we wish our clients or beneficiaries will receive at the end of our successful journey. So what's the solution? Is there a way or a means at this level to take these two guys and find a way for them to work together as one? Is there a means whereby operations and the portfolio of project can work and collaborate together successfully because they are serving the same value, because they are seeking the same vision? And if we have no problem upstairs, then we will know that in this case, resources are more important for this project, and in another case, resources are important for a specific operation. And you would minimize the fight over resources and focus on the value that we both wish to achieve. No single one can do on his own. Once we understand this and formulate proper collaboration, things are different. And this gets me to our first story. Now, the story is called It Takes Two to Tango. It's an epic project management story. And in this story, I cannot tell it on my own, so I brought with me three. Number one, Jad. Jad is the boss. He's the director, and you can see from his cigar, okay? Cuban cigar, the fat one, very expensive. And Sam is the project manager. He looks like project manager, okay? He has a depression, okay? Yeah. And now Farid, he's the cool guy. He's a project director, or a project manager who is a seasoned project manager. So what will our cast do today in our story? The story begins when Jad assigned Sam as a project manager for a contract he won. And of course, everybody starts on the first day, high morale, happy, do our best, okay? Work together, collaborate, and you start to see success. And you start to work towards that success. Now what happens? Jad, we know projects start with what? A charter, okay? They start with a lot of things before the charter. I did my PMP in 2006, and I started to ask myself, you start a project with a charter. Why? Where does the charter come from? Why do we have a project in the first place? It's like, you know, in the cartoons, if they want to give you something, they get it from his back. Everything they get it from their back. And where does the charter come from? It took me years and years to understand where it comes from, which we will address. But here, we start here with the charter. And what is this charter? It's a cuff-handing charter, the standard charter. You have to do this and that, but we will not give you all the needed resources. We will not give you the needed authority or delegation. Because if we give you authority and delegation, you are going to misuse the authority and delegation. So we keep it to ourselves. So now, you cuff their hand, but yet you make them accountable for success. You put all the causes of failure up front, but expect from them success. And if they don't succeed, they're not good project managers. Yeah. So what happens? Sam, the poor project manager, he accepts. What happens eventually, after 1-2 years? Project is what? Delayed. Statistics say in the world, project success rate is around 70%. But for mega project, it is less than 10%. For giga, nobody knows. Okay? Nobody knows. So, it's delayed. Now, what happens when it is delayed? Okay? Sam is a bad project manager. What do you do with a bad project manager? You kick him out. Okay? Why? Because Jad is the boss. And we bosses, we have all the answers. We don't make mistakes. We know everything. And then, Jad, of course, he has a contract. So he looks for what? The next victim, the next project manager. And now Farid, being a seasoned guy, the first question he asked is what? Why was Sam kicked out? Okay? So, he presents the same cuff-handing charter. And Farid remembers Einstein. What does he say? Insanity is doing over the same thing and expecting different results. Why should I succeed using the same method, the same way offered to the person before me? So if I did the same thing, exactly the same, we're not going to succeed. We're going to fail. So he starts to think and assess. Being a seasoned project manager, he conducts an assessment and understands that the reason of failure is because of the bad governing document itself, of the governance inside the charter. And he says no. He says no. It's not easy to say no to the boss. If you say no, he might kick you. But if you are smart, would you like to be kicked out because you said no, or kicked out after 2 years because you failed in the project? No. A good project manager brings on problems not in the future, today. Face them today. Either we start on good foundation that can get us to succeed, or let us not start at all. Believe me, if you get rid of a possible failure, this is success by itself. So he says no, and he sets his condition. Condition? You don't tell me. You don't do conditions on me, I'm the boss. But he's compelled because he has a contract and he needs to deliver. So he decides to listen, which is something new for him. And he said, I have 3 conditions. He's not discussing his package. How much you're going to give me? No. The first thing, define, Mr. Boss, your role on the project to empower me, to support me, to provide the very much needed executive support, without which no project will succeed. One of the statistics done on over 5,000 projects show that 80% of the reasons of success and failure comes from not the project manager, the executive, the top management, the sponsor. Yet when failure happens, whom do we kick out? The project manager. Okay? We don't make mistakes. But when things succeed, it. Okay? Who takes all the credit? The executive. So Mr. Executive, Mr. Sponsor, how many sponsors attend training courses? Very few. We've seen that project managers know more about governance, about managing projects, than their bosses. Why? Because I'm a boss, I know everything. Should I? No, I don't attend classes. I have a big chair, a big title, a big name. So an executive who does not know what's going on in the project, this is doomed to fail. So number 1, define your role on supporting me. Number 2, agree on my delegation. I should not call you in the middle of night because tomorrow we have to pay 10 more riyals on I don't know what. Okay? If I'm trusted to manage a 500 million project, then there should be an authority for me to be able to do some spending. I should have a say on whom to allocate to my project, on the hire and fire. So I need to have a say on the budget, a say on the selection of the contractor or vendor, a say on the hiring and the allocation of resources, a say on managing issues and risk, and of course, in proper governance, no single person should have all the decision. There's a ceiling. After that ceiling, what do? You escalate. But you don't just escalate everything. If you don't delegate, you bring tactical management up to the strategic. If the strategic are consumed with the tactical management, who manages the strategy, which we are going to speak a lot about? Nobody. And this is what's going on in many organizations, because top management, they don't know how to delegate properly. I had once an experience, an organization that has like 20 different firms. They asked me to be a program manager to establish a new organization for them. And I knew how they operate, so I said, sorry, it will not work. They said, why? And I was speaking to the chairman, told them for two reasons. Number one, your style of management, you don't delegate. Everything that occurs on the 20 different organizations, you are the sole decision maker. It cannot work. He was like frowning, not used people to criticize him. Then he said, what is the other reason? I told him, you are the only decision maker and we cannot reach you. I want to do things on the ground, but there is competition over your time and I cannot reach you, which means things will not go on. He thought for 10 minutes, silent. Then he said, okay, we'll try a new way with you. I said, what? He said, go and do your plan. Do your budget. Tell me what resources you need. I will give you signatory power up to a certain limit. Okay? And you can start the initiation, but if you exceed that, you have to come back to me. I said, I approve. He just said everything we teach for projects to succeed. And it was a great success because we followed that. After 3 years, I left. Why? I was envied by the other 20 GMs. Okay, special treatment. So, number 3, set capacity building plan for all the team, including Jad. I want Jad to learn, okay? I cannot learn more than Jad. Improper, does not work. So, Jad agreed. He had to agree or he will lose. And once he agreed on these conditions of the charter, what happened? They succeeded. And they succeeded together because he practiced sponsorship. He acted as an executive director, and they collaborated, and this makes success. So this is the thing which is missing from many projects. What? Executive sponsorship, proper collaboration, and integration. So back to our topic. Now, we do the strategy top-down, but results come from where? Bottom up. If you can't do things right at the bottom, at the execution, you're not gonna achieve any results. So to do things right, we have to think about a different perspective. And this gets us to the next story, where, you know the famous joke? She comes out of the operation room, the doctor, and says to Hamza, okay, I drew this against my friend Hamza. His son is here with us today. And she says, the doctor, by the way, each character has a name. They are our characters. We use them in many places. So Maryam, the doctor, she said to Hamza, I have good news, operation succeeded. The project can succeed. Bad news, the patient died. Project can succeed, but nothing happens. And the organization falls. Because it's not enough for the project to succeed, to finish on time, on budget, on quality. Okay? Versus the other scenario. I have good news, project succeeded. I have great news, the patient is recovering. Good news, your project succeeded. Great news, we achieved our benefit, our objective, ultimately our vision. So to move from this status to the other status, we need to, when we think about strategy, we invest to reap value. And then you select to get the benefits. Then you do the programs to transform the organization, because in its current shape, operations are not capable of reaping these benefits. And we do the projects to get what? Deliverables and capabilities. Capabilities. Without these capabilities, operations will not change. Without proper transformation management, operation will not change. And once we had version 1, now we have version 2 of operation. They are capable of what? Realizing sustainable benefits. Because these people stay. Project manager goes away to manage another project. Also program managers. These people stay. If you are successful in the whole system, we can move them from state A to state B. And in this perspective, yes, we can reach a point where realizing sustainable benefits over a period of time will help us achieve and realize our value or ultimate vision. But mind me, this is no easy journey. There are lots of things we need to learn, things we need to unlearn, okay? And for what I started, collaboration, working together. So, the second framework I want to speak about is the strategy implementation roadmap. Now, I'm not going to speak about this in detail. This is developed by my friend Antonio Nieto Rodriguez. He's going to be with us during, I think, tomorrow, day after. We'll sign his Harvard book. And they developed this. Why did they develop this? It's not about project management. It's about operations. They looked at organizations that are trying to realize their strategy. And they found like 5–10% of organizations in the world actually realize the strategy. And they started to ask why. Why are top organizations not capable of realizing their strategy? And they came up to 7 main themes around which the framework was developed. For example, leadership excellence. They did a Harvard research. You as CEO, how much time do you spend on talking about and discussing the strategy of your organization in a month? Do you know what the answer came? Less than 1 hour. Most of them, the majority, less than 1 hour per month. Mr. CEO, you are here to realize the strategy. If you're not talking about it, you're talking about what? Being dragged to operation or to tactics? Wrong. The right formula, they should spend one-third of their time. What? Concerned about one thing and one thing only, strategy. Okay. So they came up with this set of best practices. I'm not going to discuss them, but what I will say, just one slide per each one, because I don't know if you saw the movie. Usually, it's one guy who does everything, and the rest, La La Land or somewhere else. So, leadership excellence. Now, the second topic is what? Financial value. I love this quote. Why? He's saying, we make decisions for the future based on what we know. If we know 70% of the facts, you have to make the decision now. But what if we did it wrong? Fine. Better than waiting until you know 90%. Because do you know what happens if you wait until 90%? Everybody is ahead of you. So nowadays, we have to be rapid. We have to be fast. And we have to adjust our frameworks, adapt to this. Then the third topic is business model. Now this guy, this is a very old quote. He's talking about what? Digitization. Wow. Before we talk about all the digital transformation, like 20 years ago, he was talking about what? Opportunity in what? Digitization. Yeah. We need to reinvent our business model, our operating model around that. Then stakeholder management. Okay, he's not anymore the CEO of LinkedIn, but he was in 2018, and they did 100 skills over 100 cities, looking for what is missing. And they were expecting big data, artificial intelligence, and so what? Number 1, 2, and 3 is what? Account executive, sales development, project management. These are the skills that are missing. We don't know how to speak to each other in a better manner. This is the problem. Proper communication, proper collaboration, identifying stakeholders. They spoke a lot about it in the morning session. You are doing a railway. Did you assess the stakeholders who are the neighbors? Until you finalize the railway, if they have businesses, it will stop. How they will feed their families? Okay? If you assess that, identified, provided alternative means, then you will achieve your result. If not, some people are hurt. It's not easy. Stakeholders, very important. So, the fourth thing is what? Culture evolution. Now, this Dory Clark, also a Harvard author, international authority, if it does not work, not failure, it's what? Data. Huh? You know, IBM Global Solutions, one of the senior guys came to the CEO presenting his resignation. Why? I made a mistake and cost the company $10 million. So I take full responsibility, and this is my resignation letter. What does he tell him? Some other CEO would say, I will make sure nobody will ever hire you again. You cost us $10 million. Beep. Okay? Now, this guy said, what? You cost me $10 million to learn? You're going to take this precious knowledge and go serve my competitor? Stick around, make sure this does not happen twice. Where does this come from? It comes from economy. Why? Simple math. He looked and assessed the CEO. This mistake, we are going to do it 10 times in the coming years. 10 times costs how much? 100 million. Now, who's the best person to prevent us from doing it again? The person who did it and who took the full responsibility. So if I kept him and told him, go and do process improvement, check the culture, make sure, spread the knowledge, and tell people how not to do it wrong. What happens? He spares what? He did not lose 10 million. He spared 90 million. He spent 10 million to learn. The knowledge organization, it's a perspective. It's a culture. It's not a repository. So, failure is data. So to succeed, what do you have to do? You have to try and fail and try and fail and try until you succeed. When they asked Abdul Jabbar, the famous NBA or something, basketball player, about his successes, he said, the media focuses on my success. They don't focus on my 5,000, 6,000 failures that I did in my life until I was able to succeed. When I asked Edison, how in the world did you have the patience to do 5,700 trials to light a bulb? All this failure. He said, I never failed once. I learned 5,700 times how not to light the bulb until I knew how to do it. So it's a perspective, and it's a very important perspective. But also in the culture, we need a culture of compassion. And I believe this is very vital. COVID-19 taught us that, because we all lost. And the people who worked with us lost on many different aspects. In order for you to be a good, famous leader, you don't have to be harsh. No. compassion is important. Also, how to be agile and nimble. I don't know if you saw the movie, but she was traveling and lots of baggage. And in the airport, he said, you don't need a pillow. They have a pillow there. You don't need this, don't need that. Travel light. Okay, this is faster. We can do more business this way. And of course, happy. Whom of us is happy in his work? This is important. You either have a minister of happiness. Very interesting idea. If you're happy, what happens? One of the researchers that Professor Rodney Turner told us about, he was the chief editor for the International Journal of Project Management by Elsevier for 25 years. And one of the research made about causes of project success. And one might think good governance, executive support, leadership, this and that. Do you know what they discovered? Number one reason for success, happy team. Happy team. If your team is happy, if your team shares the vision, if your team does not see this as a job, but as his mission, they will do everything that needs to be done to succeed. And they will make who happy? The client. And if the client is happy, a happy client is a paying client, is a coming back, recurring client. And if you have these types of clients who are happy, the shareholders are happy because they make more money. Everybody's happy because of what? A happy team. No, we put all the pressure in the world on the team. No authority, no delegation, all the pressure, and we expect success. Wallahi, if you have Misbah Alauddin, or I tell people, I'm a good project manager, I'm not Merlin the magician. Okay? There is no secret pill. It's no magic. Okay? It's common sense. Then, the other one is what? Employee engagement. Employee engagement. Trusting each other. How many of us trust others? No, our mothers told us, don't teach your colleague or a friend what you learned hard so that you can get the A alone. This is wrong. Okay? We need to share knowledge. Teach the new people. Why should I teach them? It took me 20 years, 1,000 walls for me to come here. I give them like this for free? No. Let them do it on their own. What does this mean? Every newcomer has to pay for all the mistakes that got us here. This is no maturity. Then, this is Antonio and Robin Speculant, and I love this quote from him. You can outsource the crafting of the strategy, but not its implementation. I worked in Mecca for around 4 years, and I learned something very well. أهل مكة أدرى بشعابها. The people of Mecca know its ways or roots better. But in Arabic, it has a very profound meaning, which means the success will come only from within. External consultants are important because they can cut short the time for us to do trials and errors. But when it comes to execution, okay, we cannot put them in our place. It's your home. It's your organization. Okay? It's your culture. You have to be inside and you have to do it. Right. So you cannot outsource. And then, of course, there is now a professional SIP. Now, all these things take time. You know these famous two, some of the most famous rich people in the world, and they're telling each other, we want things fast. And what does he tell him? You cannot get a baby in 1 month if 9 women are pregnant. You still have to wait for 9 months. Okay? When you are doing organizational development and trying to change the organization, you have to let people breathe. Okay? And this takes us to managing the change and the transformation. Now, the next point is the integrated life cycle management framework. I'm just mentioning this here. It's a method for integrating portfolios, projects, programs, operations that come before projects and operations that come after the project, so that we all work in an integrated manner and so that we can learn from execution. I was once in an oil and gas conference, 200 all the companies in the Middle East, and I asked a question. You have a project and your people do an estimation for a component X to cost you 1 million. When you go and execute, it costs you 1.5 million. After some time, let's say no economic variations, you come up to another project and you have to use component X. And you are preparing your budget. How much do you put the cost for a component X? 1 million or 1.5? 1 million. Who says 1.5? Who says 1 million? Who says nothing? Okay. So what happened? Every single one of these people, and they work in the largest companies in the region, said 1 million. Why? You made a mistake. You said 1 million, it cost you 1.5 million. Yes, we made a mistake, but we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the process. We don't have the means to share the knowledge. What does this mean? We are paying for the same mistake over and over and over again. But if we are able to solve it, you pay for the mistake what? Only once, because now the people who executed, they have a feedback loop to the people and the operations that come before they exist. So it's a structure to enhance governance, decision-making, ownership, and accountability, and integrating both processes and both operations and projects. But each topic I'm talking about today, it can have its own seminar, and it can have its own 5 days workshop. And of course then, managing change, which I'm not gonna talk about today, I have to mention it, okay? Why? Because it's normal to resist change by people, and we have to address that. And of course, managing the digital transformation, this is the framework of my friend Robin Speculand, who focuses on things which are what? Centricity of what? Operation, customer, and culture. This is the core. Digital transformations, like success rate in the world, is around 15%, according to McKinsey and Accenture and other. Why are they failing? They're not failing because technology is bad. They're failing because we don't know how to manage our transformation, to utilize the technology in the manner it should be. So having said this, okay, this is the first thing, is how to integrate operations and projects together. And once we fix these, or maybe in parallel, we have to address the other aspect. Why? Because this is the governance. This layer, upper layer, is the governance. The value-based selection and direction. And this is what? This is the delivery, okay? Delivery of new capabilities. And the last one is what? It's about the systems, how to, processes, skills, and tools. And one big problem on Giga projects that I discovered, they spend 2 months or 6 months developing or customizing processes on a 5 years program or project, and stop. Which means you developed a static system, and you expect this system to work perfectly from the first time for 5 years. It does not work. Perfection comes from learning. So if you don't keep a couple of people to do continuous development on these processes, okay, you want to spare them money, believe me, their ROI will be like maybe 1 million times. Because they will learn from the project what best process works in this specific environment. So the first model is the benefit management model. I'm not going to speak about the whole model, but this is utilized by the UK government, the Australian government, New Zealand, South Africa, the Commonwealth generally, okay, what they call Her Majesty Treasury, and it's an APMG standard. It was developed for the UK government by my friend Stephen Jenner. And what's his rationale? Why do you have projects and programs, investments. What's the rationale? Why? This is about the why. It's not about the what, not about the how. It's about the why. You know, Simon Sinek speaks about the why first. Why are you investing? I'm investing to realize a benefit. So I do a case study to justify a project that will get me the benefit. Wrong approach. You do the case study to discover the best project that will get you the benefit. Okay? You don't use it to justify your judgment, your built-in decisions. The important thing about having a business case is that best practice say 9 out of 10 will say don't invest. 9 out of 10. In reality, how many tell you to invest? 9 out of 10. Why? Because you write the business case to please somebody, to justify a decision they decided, not to discover. When it comes to managing benefit, it's about starting with the end in mind. And it is a discovery process. What is the best journey or way or thing we can do to achieve this benefit? And this, if we do it right, we will discover what projects to do and what projects not to do. So it's coupled with portfolio management. And to implement it, it has to be coupled with performance. Managing benefit is just like color. I don't say I saw red coming by. I saw a red car. I saw a lady in red. You see something with the color. And benefit, it's fused to portfolio, fused with performance management. It's the glue. It's the why. And it's a very important discipline that very few know about it. I'm very happy to disclose that we established a great success in the Middle East. 28 persons, Saudis, women and men, got the managing benefit accreditation from their exam the first time. So, project cannot be responsible to realize the benefit. This is wrong if you say it. It requires integration between strategy, portfolio, program, projects, and operation. Without the whole system, you will not realize the benefit. And you have to transform and empower operations to realize benefit. And we look at this model, a life cycle of identifying, selecting, define, execute, operate. Maybe we are doing portfolio selection here. Then we are doing some investment management here. And this is project management, and this is operation. And they discovered that a poorly defined project with a business case to please, even if it succeeds, what value do you get? This one. If it fails, what value do you get? This one. This is the delta. It's all below. Whereas a properly defined project geared on providing the capabilities for operation that are needed to realize sustainable benefits, if it is managed properly, wow, great success. If it is managed badly, it's here. Think about Terminal 5 in Heathrow. Worst project ever. They opened in the morning, closed in the afternoon. As a project, it failed. It took them around 9 months or a year. Then it was operational. And since that time until today, how much benefit? Thousands of jobs. How much people use that terminal as a hub worldwide to travel? So this is the Heathrow, This is the Heathrow implemented badly. And once it is corrected, it reaps all the... You have to look at the holistic thing. You have to think in a strategic manner. So if you look at these, this is where we do the business case to discover. And if we do the right case, we can do proper portfolio selection. And if we do this, we discover what transformation we need to move operations from to, and it would tell us what projects to do until we reach the operation which we call business as usual. This is the cycle that we utilize in managing benefit. We identify and quantify. We value and appraise, we plan, we realize, and then we review our business as usual. It has practices and principles. And of course, to achieve the transformation from the current to the desired, it does not happen overnight. No 9 ladies can bring you a baby in 1 month. You have to accumulate benefits over time. So it's important for organizations because the ROI becomes very high. Do you know how the ROI becomes high? By not failing. If you look at your balance sheets, how much are you losing because of failure? Everybody loses a lot. So if I can stop failing, what happens to my return on investment? Goes up. And what happens to the utilization of resources when they are put on investments, on initiatives that reap results instead of scattering them all around? And of course, provides trust, and this is excellent for cost reduction. Number 3, the portfolio management. I'm not going to speak about portfolio management, but I'm going to speak about, because we touched on portfolio several places, I'm going to speak about why portfolio is important. It has a life cycle. Sorry. You initiate, plan, you don't close. It's an ongoing thing. You optimize. And what does optimization mean? What's the most important thing a portfolio manager does? Kill projects. Why kill projects? Not because the project manager is bad. Because maybe some China company has a product, and by the time we finish, our cost is twice as much as they sell. It's not feasible anymore. Because we have the business case as a live document with us to tell us whether it's still feasible or not. So if we discover soon, we stop it soon and we reinvest the resources somewhere better. But it takes great courage by leaders to kill projects. Great courage. Why? We are afraid from the pointing of finger. Why did you start it in the first place? So what do? Keep it ongoing. I retire. Somebody else comes. Okay? Okay? And it keeps on going on. And for this, I'll tell you this joke about somewhere in the world, definitely not in Saudi, a minister, no, I'm not joking. A minister came to his new office the first day. And the old minister, he handed him 3 closed letters. And he told him, when things go bad, open the first letter. Then when things go bad, the second. Then the third. He said, okay. But don't open now. He said, okay. He started to speak, things morale are high, happy. After like a year or so, he did nothing. So people started to, no, what's this minister? What they are doing? We need our services. We need things to move on. And things went bad, so he opened the envelope. And the envelope, he said, go and do a 5-year plan and announce it publicly. Lots of figures and numbers and whatnot. So he did the plan, announced it publicly. Everybody's happy, applauding for him. After a year, nothing happened. So things went bad. So he went and opened the second envelope. And he said in the envelope, blame the minister that was before you. Okay? This is why we are not capable of moving on. So he went, made the press release, put the blame, and people were like, okay? And after some time, again, things went bad. He opened the third envelope. Guess what he found in it? Prepare 3 envelopes and pass them over to the minister after you. Sometimes unintentionally we sustain the bad habits. Unintentionally. Okay? It's not because of bad will. Because we are not capable of getting a holistic view at all these things. We just focus too much on one item. You are never able to see the solution. Address the problem. Let's see the solution if you are that near. So, of course, we have themes like strategy, governance, capability. I just want to speak about capacity and capability. This is so vital. Very few address it. It's part of portfolio management, ya Jama'ah. It talks about what? Okay, in portfolio management, it's about when, cost, who, what confidence, visibility, but in terms of resources, whether financial, human, utilities, it's about the supply and demand. If I looked at my resources and the market demand versus what I have, you will find many people sitting on the bench. Sitting on the bench because they are not equipped. They are not skilled enough to be utilized. So these are the only resources that the market accepts. And these ones are the ones that get us our salaries. But all this is what? An overhead. And this is what? Lost opportunity. So when you start to work on understanding, and I advise you to attend the Sophia at the end of the day, because it addresses this in a very deep manner. When we start to work on this and try to enhance our capabilities, equip more resources, I have more allocated resources, more billable, more efficient, meeting more demand. So, الهدر is less. Until we keep on doing that, until maybe we achieve something like this someday. And if we achieve something like this without paying extra money, you're gonna make a lot more by sparing what you have been losing. But you don't see it because it's operation cost. We pay for the salary, no. A salary is a resource. I have to make good use of it, especially in the government sector. Now to program management. I'm not gonna speak about program management, but it's about addressing multiple benefits and operations and projects and integrating all these to come up with sustainable benefits. Think about the complexity. If a project manager swaps balls, then a program, you have multiple, each one swapping balls, but they swap between each other as well. So it's a complex world. It's utilized to manage organizational change and giga and mega project as a discipline. So to assemble things together, portfolio management is about what? Doing the right things. Project management is about what? Doing things right. And program management is about what? Sustaining the right benefits. It takes two to tango. The solution is not only in project management. This is why you cannot just hire, I have a PMP. Yes, you will be the vision realization officer or PMO director. You need to address all these so that you are equipped and you can succeed. Okay? Again, I'm a PMP. I'm proud to be a PMP. Okay? But this was only the beginning. Now, a thing about governance. We have to get things done. And in large organizations or Ricardo spoke today in the morning about segmentation and having multiple governance on a giga project. How do we do that? If you look at the types, I've seen many PMOs. They start and fail. Why? There's a PMO shop. We do for you process, software, training. For all types of PMOs. Did we ask ourselves, why are we establishing this structure? What's the reason? Because they are not alike. They are like 180 degrees different if you're talking about a VRO versus a PMO. So, to look at 3 dimensions, the first, are we transforming or sustaining? Well, we need both, but what do I need to sustain? The status quo, the 3 envelope? No, I need to transform, achieve maturity, then sustain. So these are not done together. After you transform, achieve your objectives, sustain. Don't sustain the bad situations, the status quo. The other one, are we directing? Are we doing strategy or doing tactics or controlling? And is it permanent or is it temporary? So we look at it like a strategic management office for SIDA, for example, or for a ministry. What do we do here? We do portfolio management, we do selection, we do strategic management. These types of things, okay, we focus on them. We don't do execution. So don't attempt to get execution here, it's wrong. And the VRO, which is a Saudi invention, which is the intersection between a transformation office and the strategic office, geared to realizing the high vision initiatives, which are VRPs, okay? And a corporate PMO, what does it do? Totally different functions. Here where we manage the various projects according to the mandate set by these people. So these are distinct offices or functions, okay? I don't care what you call it. It's the function we are looking for. The people who will be practicing managing benefit, these guys. Strategy implementation, these guys. This quadrant, above, here. Project management, in this area. And the other thing they do, who manages the relationship with procurement, with vendor, with contracts? Who manages the resources inside the organization and the allocation? According to who? According to the directions that come from the side. So this is a distinct function. And on giga and large projects, you do have to have a project office or a control office for every, usually at site for every office. So if we have, for example, Al-Haramain, they have like 6 giga projects. Each one has its own on-site. And then in the Ministry of Finance, there is the corporate PMO they have. And at the finance, there's also these VROs or strategic. So we do things from at different levels, and we need to understand the role of each. I call it center of excellence, and how they communicate to each other to develop the right ingredient of governance. And of course, we can have an integrated, we can have many types, departmental, we can have a PPP program. These are new topics like capacity development office or knowledge management or even innovation management office under development. So these are, the message here is that it's not everything is called a PMO. And in order for us to make all these happen, we have to understand what we need first, and after that, we have to go all the way. You have to assess. You have to assess. You have to do the governance operating framework. Then you do the process, the software, the capacity, and then the rollout. Our problem, we realized that most PMOs, what do they do? So, coming back to this guy. Okay. We start here. It's wrong. No one size fits all. Assess, understand where you are. What's your gap? What you need to do? Why you need to do it? Okay? After you understand, okay. After you understand, you do the governance, the operating model. Once this is there, go and do the process and the software and the training. But don't stop. Why? When you do the rollout, when you put things on ground, okay, it will not be perfect. It is never perfect the first time. Ever. So this is only the first iteration. So you have to do more than one iteration. If you don't do this rollout and the process review enhancement, efficiency metrics and whatnot, you did nothing. Okay? So it's not just, okay, I write processes for you. This is a manual in 2 months. I give it to you. This is a dashboard. Okay? We build a dashboard for you in 2 months. And in the back office of the minister, somebody's keying data on Excel. What's that? Building a dashboard means having a proper performance system whereby every single data from the ground, from the site, is captured properly, linked, escalated, so that divisions can know the performance and manage things better, and then escalated to their departments, so the departments know their efficiency. At each one, we make decisions to the organizations until they reach the minister. Meaning any change on the ground would reflect on the KPI, not somebody keying in data. This is not a dashboard. Okay? This is cosmetic. And without proper visibility, how can His Excellency, the Minister, make the right decisions? No, I don't trust this. I'd better rely on his judgmental skills rather than rely on bad data or cosmetic data. So you don't have visibility if you don't do it right. And it's never done in 2 months. Never. Because it's change. You're changing the way people are operating from the bottom up. You have to have all the system architecture right. You have to do the change management, everything we spoke about, until you start to get the real data. But once you get it right, you cannot do it wrong. And you cannot do wrong decisions anymore. The system prevents you. This is why we have mature organizations that have done it this way, like Aramco. We learn a lot from Aramco, a lot from their best practices. The assessment. I love this about the assessment because they فتحوا له مخه and so on. So you have to spend your time. We don't have time. Immediately go and establish and put, I don't know what. No. Okay. We don't have time. We need to fail quickly. Okay? Take your time in doing a good assessment. Understand where you are. Some things can be done in a rapid manner, but not understanding where we are. We want to go. We look for a rigorous, evidence-based assessment, and we need to understand our capabilities. We need to answer questions. Is authority, ownership identified, delegated? Are processes documented? Are they communicated? Do the staff have the needed skills and competencies? Are they fully implemented? Are they efficient? Are we getting controlled results? And we have to do them in this manner, and this takes time. The last topic is about Sophia, which you can attend, if you like, in the afternoon. It's a global standard and language for skills and competency for the digital world, which addresses multiple beautiful dimensions. By the way, Sophia is an NGO, and you can download the whole standard for free. Okay? Yeah. But they do have licenses for organizations to support their work. It helps us to recognize the need for these skills. They started on digital, but then they applied it on everything. And knowing the skills we have, many organizations don't know what they have. They have good people, good competencies, but hidden. This gets them up. Knowing the skills we have and the skills we need, and knowing the gaps and the risks. And then, of course, now you have a strategy to enhance your resources. So, what did we do today? We assembled knowledge that exists. We did not reinvent the wheel, but we are trying to do what? Stand on the shoulders of giants. Take what's out there, utilize it, because we are not. Okay? Don't have a poor judgment on the PIM book because does not answer all these, because it was not meant to answer all these. It's project management 101. It does something fascinating, which is what? Giving us a language that we can understand and speak together. But this is only what? The beginning. So, our exercise now, I have one exercise for you, and I believe I exceeded the time. No, okay. And this exercise, if you go, please, to the Google form, I just want you to think about these frameworks and try to give like a scoring for your own organization. What's the importance? 5 is the most important, and 1 is the least important. But here, to benefit from this, don't give them all 5. Giving them all 5 is the easy thing. You have to think hard. So if this is 5, the other system should be 3. If this is 3, that system is what? 4. Okay? The whole idea about, we call it the Likert scale, okay, is to help us turn our judgmental into something that makes sense. The beautiful thing about it, if you take this and do the drill with your colleagues in your organization, do exactly the same exercise. Okay? Now, we are going to get the results of you as a group, but you are from different organizations. So the result will not have context. Okay? Just something for us to see. But the right way to do it is take this and do the drill with your colleagues, thinking about your role, your objective, your part of the Vision 2030. Okay? And based on it, you will have your collective opinion. After we learn the collective opinion in terms of, importance And urgency. Urgency. Certain things I have to have today, and something that I can have in 1 or 2 years. You cannot have all urgent. If you have all urgent, all important 5-5, you cannot select. You are shooting yourself in the foot. Okay? So make this exercise inside your organization, and after you do it, I'm going to share the results now as a group. But what I want you to do is something beneficial for you. Okay? Once you do it, before you go to recommendation, look at the data, and look at the top 3 priorities. Top 3 priorities. Top 3 systems that got highest score and highest urgency. And what do we do with these? Then we do what? A discussion. A discussion inside our house to discuss why we need these and what is the best approach to go for them. And by doing that, you've spared yourself maybe a 2 million contract for an advisor who will ask you these questions and give you the result. Why? Because أهل مكة أدرى بشعابها. And the answer always comes from the inside. External advisor, the best thing I can do is ask a smart question. Okay? And give you a model or framework and help you to adapt. That's it. But you are going to do the 99% of the work. So let us look at the results. We only have 17 responses. There are more than 17 in the room. Do you want to see it again, please, and scan it? Yeah. Scan it again if you like, so that we go to the results and see.
So just to answer what you are practicing right now? Or?
Yes. Yes. Answer from your reality. This is important in assessment, understanding where we are. Where we want to be, this is the gap. It's simple, common sense. Very few practice, but common sense. So you scan this. Let me go to the results page. So we have 24. Perhaps we can have more. Okay. 20. I'm going to keep them coming in. But let's look at first. Benefit management model. So we have like majority between extremely important and very important, okay? And then we have like 41 and 40. So collectively we are something like 80 something. The next one is, sorry, the first one. The urgency, okay. In terms, there's fluctuation in terms of urgency. Yet all above the average. Then the portfolio management. You said it needs to be critical. Company should start develop to be efficient, of course. I agree. Portfolio, okay, has, this is 1848. Your responses are less than managing benefit. If I were you, I would start with benefit, then portfolio. Because if you have the managing benefit, the portfolio will work properly. Because managing benefit answers the question why. Okay? And this is more important than any other question. So portfolio is very much dependent on managing benefit. Then, urgency, okay. Strategy should be clear. Portfolio has to be implemented. More managing and prioritization is important. Program management, again. The beautiful thing is that you are all in above average to maximum, okay? But of course, again, we cannot do a statistics based on this, okay? For it to be academically sound, okay, or in terms of research, we'll have to do a more controlled environment. project management. Of course, without project management, we don't have muscles, okay? If you are not able to do things, even if you have the best strategy, okay, the benefits, whatever, you're not gonna sustain unless you outsource, okay? But if you don't know how to do the right things, you only have muscles, what can you do? Become a contractor, okay? Do things for those who know how to select. But if you don't have any of these, change your business. So, importance is important, urgent, benefit. Now, structures, okay, we have 47, yeah, okay. Almost 80% from 3 above. Urgency also. Agile organizational development roadmap, okay, more like a balanced curve now. And urgency, okay. Skills and competencies. Now, I believe when you learn what Sophia is, you're gonna say, how in the world we are living without it? Because instead of us redefining our competencies and skills and paying a lot of money, and once we finish, we find out that what we did is all obsolete because things change. There is an international NGO that does that for us and does it at the global level, and we can benefit from everybody else's experience. It's that much important. Like Australian government, the whole government utilizes Sophia. Okay. Then the vision framework, yeah, more important. And urgency, strategy implementation, roadmap, and urgency. Integrate life cycle. We have now 48 responses, which is good. And urgency. Digital transformation. Of course, we cannot live without it. And urgency. Organizational change. You see, they are almost the same. Okay? Okay. By doing that, I finished what I wanted to do with you. If it had been, we planned for a workshop for 20 people, round tables, more exercises and discussions among you, each other, and we had to cope, okay, and to accommodate all of you. I thank each one of you for coming and joining us. I would like, if you like, to take a couple of questions before we take a break and move on to the next session, which is on the Enterprise Big Data Framework. I highly advise you attend it. We brought the founder of this organization. He's from Netherlands, but he lives in Kuala Lumpur, and he came specially. And they have a beautiful framework. Also, it's available for free. You can download it. Okay? Best things in the world does not necessarily cost you money. Okay? Because they have like strategy, governance, for big data, roles, all the things that nobody thinks about. Again, for big data to succeed, it's not the technology. It's how we adapt ourselves to learn how to use it to make better decisions. And he focuses on that. So any questions of what I've... Yes, please, the lady. If the mic, yeah.
Thank you very much.
But let's make them short questions. Yeah.
No, it's not short questions. I'm sorry. Okay, Dr. from MOE.
Please, okay, higher your voice, please. Okay.
Yes, first of all, I do appreciate this workshop. It's fruitful, but you are emphasized on the tailoring.
Yes.
Yes, tailoring.
Yes.
So I think this workshop, maybe the right segmentation for this workshop is maybe program managers, portfolio manager, because I think the project manager, he should know the integration between the rules and responsibility inside the entity that he comes from or he work with, plus the integration in terms of processes, governance, and every dimensions of the entity that he work in. This is number one.
I agree with you on the second part, but the first part which had the first part, which is this. Here, We are not addressing anything to project managers. We are speaking to the CEO. We are speaking to the board of director, okay, in terms of setting the whole system, the vision, and how to realize it, okay, in a good manner. But here, I agree with you. Okay, the second question?
It's not a question, just a comment. You speak about also tailoring. Yes, this is so each project managers in their entities should tailoring the project according to the entity that he works on. Because, yes, for example, now you are speaking about ROI. In public sector, our perspective about ROI, not like private sector. It's different, okay? So I think practicing in project managers how to execute the project, how to manage it, how to close it, it's like your 5 fingers. It's not the same. So the practice which is succeeds in one entity, it's not will succeed in another entity. And this is a very good point and valued point that you say. When you are PMP certified, that not means that you are going to take all the practice from PMI box and to practice in the field. It's different, huge different.
I cannot agree with you more. Yeah, 100%. Of course, it's about tailoring. No size fits all. At any level of all of these, okay, these are frameworks. Okay, do you know the first methodologies we saw like 15 years back or 10 years back? They took the PIM book and made it into chapters, copycat, and said this is how we are managing projects. People, guys, PIM book is more like a dictionary of best practices. You don't learn a new language by memorizing or copycatting the dictionary. But when you learn the language, you go back to the dictionary to get answers. Yeah. So I totally agree with you. Thank you. Any other question? Dr. Mazen. I don't know anybody who can say no to Dr. Mazen. He's a dear friend and he represents PMI UAE chapter. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Saadi.
You'll be on a panelist on the women empowerment and youth enablement in project management. A very, wow, I wish you've seen the dry run. Amazing. I wish we could have recorded that dry run. By itself, it's wonderful. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Saadi, and thank you, PMI KSA, for the invitation. Really appreciate it. So, Ali, Doctor, in terms of the new methodologies, design thinking, you see a lot of startups now in the Saudi and in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They're coming up with, and they're disrupting, coming up with some great methodologies and approach. What are your thoughts on that?
Excellent question. Thank you, my friend. Remember when I spoke about the business case? And I said the business case main objective is to discover and look for alternative methods. How do you discover? By using what you already have? No. By reverting to design thinking and these new ways, okay, not just accepting the method that we've been using for the past 20 years, start to thinking out of the box, coming up with these new concepts and ideas, then testing them, as Dr. Shira said in the morning, business case, and this is, again, what he spoke about, the UK standard, the economic, financial management, blah, 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 all the five components, okay? You test them there, and if it is sound, you go up, okay? And you propose it in your portfolio. If it's not sound, just stop it, or redo. We don't do discovery in business case. We try to, خلصنا? One more question? Yes, last question. Dr. Mu'taz, we are happy to have you with us. And Dr. Mu'taz is also a panelist with us on Monday on the transformation and upskilling panel.
Thank you, Dr. Saadi. A very fruitful session and workshop. Just straightforward the question. When we talk about strategy alignment, in your opinion, what are the 3 key success factors to make sure there is strategic alignment across the ecosystem of any organization?
Very good question. Thank you. Now, when you do strategic alignment, okay, this is addressed both at the portfolio level and it is also addressed at the strategic level. When we talk about the strategy implementation roadmap, there is strategic alignment between operations and strategy, and also in terms of the projects. Strategic alignment is not one thing for all, not one size fits all. It depends on what is important for you. So, how do you define your success in realizing your vision or strategy? What are the main components? Is it that we need to enhance, for example, the transportation between these two cities? Why do we want to enhance? Because we are looking for more traffic. What type of traffic? Is it business, or is it people whom you want to relocate there? What is the ultimate reason? Why do you want to enhance business? Because I have a new hub of manufacturers and industry. You see the thinking where it's going, leading you? There is something called the value chain. You have to understand, analyze your value chain, and then you discover it's about enhancing a figure in the GDP with respect to economy that relates to the objectives of Vision 2030 in terms of localization and opening more businesses. Okay, you don't discover this just like that. You have to draw, you have to brainstorm, understand the value chain, and then you discover in this manner the key points that you use in your portfolio management to do weighing, and we utilize these to weigh and assess multiple projects along with other factors. Once we understand, so I'm not answering you, I'm answering about the method to realize this, because there is no one size fits all. Once we do this thinking process and we do it, we understand the factors that connect success in operations and success in projects to our realization of strategy. And then now we just discovered our weighing, our selection criteria, which we can use and give weights on multiple factors and select what to do or what not to do. And by answering that, I thank you very much for being with us today. I exceeded my time, and being part of the organizers, this is very wrong of me, sorry. Sorry, Jean Willem, okay, my friend, okay. So we'll just take a 5 minutes break, okay, just to refreshen up before we start in the same room with Jean Willem about enterprise big data. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. Thank you.